Hello friends, I'm Matthew Johnson with Elite Singer, and today we're going to be reacting to Monster, sung by Shawn Mendes and Justin Bieber. Now I'm excited for this one because these are two very different vocalists, so I'm excited to see how they mesh and blend together. Keep in mind there are some strobe effects toward the end of the video, so just in case they bother you, just keep that in the back of your mind. Alright, with that being said, let's dig in.
You put me on a pedestal and tell me I'm the best.
Right off the bat, really nice breathiness.
Raise me up into the sky until I'm short of breath, yeah. You fill me up with confidence to say what's in my chest. Spin my words and tear me down until there's nothing left. Arrange the pieces just to fit me with the rest.
He's doing a lot of cool stuff here. So one of them is he's using a little bit of that fry. It's just a pop sound. This gritty is used for a lot of lead-ins in that pop style, but the fry is, or can be considered, the opposite of breathiness. When you have a lot of breathiness, your vocal folds are wide open. When you fry, you have to bring them together. So he's doing a lot of this fry, release all the way through this verse, which is very cool. The other thing I want to mention is, in general, Mendes uses a thinner type of vocal quality. When you're using a lot of chest voice, you're using top to bottom compression of the vocal folds. There's a lot of thickness there. And Mendes doesn't use all of that. He uses a little bit less, right? And that's what gives him a little bit of his brighter quality and lighter quality. It's going to make for some killer high notes and killer mixes later on.
But what if I try? What if I fall? Then am I the monster? Just let me know. What if I sin? What if I break? Then am I the monster? Yeah. Just let me know. Yeah.
Awesome. So once again, we're hearing this fry release type of feel. There are a couple different vibratos that he used. When he was barely using any volume at all, we heard a little bit of diaphragmatic vibrato. That's pulsing the air to create the vibrato. Toward the end of that last verse there, we heard a little bit of that chord coordinated vibrato, which is what we typically want to hear in most styles of music. But if you go back and listen to those, you'll hear how the vibrato sounds a little bit different based on what his vocal folds are doing at the time.
I was 15 when the world put me on a pedestal. I had big dreams of doing shows and making memories. Made some bad moves trying to act cool, upset by the jealousy. Lifted me up, yeah, lifted me up.
Cool.
Tear me down, tear me down. I take responsibility for everything I've done. Holding it against me like you're the holy one, yeah.
So at this point, we're hearing a lot of lightness from both singers. Whenever Bieber's going up for the higher notes, he continues to stay breathy, he continues to stay loose. There was one moment where he wanted to tighten up a little bit more than Mendes typically does, and I think that's going to make for a cool duet between the two of them.
I had a chip on my shoulder, had to let it go.
There's that tightness.
Cause unforgiveness keeps them in control. I came in with good intentions, then I let it go. And now I really wanna, what if I trip?
Right, so with all of that lightness, now Bieber's starting to dig in just a little bit more. We can say his vocal folds are just a touch over compressed. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that the vocal folds want to be a little bit tighter than middle, you can say. And that's going to give him a different sort of brightness than we've heard before, and a good feeling of strength all the way through.
What if I fall? Then am I the monster? Just let me know. And what if I...
Both singers are doing really great riffs and runs. Bieber had a little bit of distortion on that last phrase. We would call that false fold distortion. And it's this kind of sound of, yeah! It's the grittiness that gives it a little bit more oomph when they're singing through. Now, I love that, you know, this is mainly because of the whole pandemic where we can't do live performances in person as much. But it's cool, the scene that they set. They have the trees in the background. They have really nice ambient lighting. And it's cool that when the other artist is singing, The other just kind of, can kind of do their own thing. Mendes was just bopping in the background with his schnazzy shoes the entire time, kind of in his own world. And it was fun to see how the two play off of their environment when they're not singing in this humongous performance hall.
What if I sin? And what if I,
Oh, I love that sound.
let him hide the monster, yeah. Just let me know. Just please, just let
We got to talk about that. The thinness that we talked about from Mendes came in clutch here. He went up to the high notes with such a light sound. It sounded strong, but there's a lightness to it that was just gorgeous. It's excellent. And that's why, one of the reasons why Justin is singing underneath him at this moment. Because Sean has this lighter and higher quality, Justin works as the anchor underneath it. It's really cool to hear. He flipped into falsetto toward the end of it as a little bit of a release of the emotion and tension in the song, really playing well off of each other. I'm loving this duo.
me know, yeah. La-da-da-da-da. Tell me what if I, la-da-da-da-da. La-da-da-da-da.
Nice.
La-da-da-da-da. And please don't let me fall. Oh, please don't let me fall. Oh, please don't let me fall, yeah.
That's a perfect example of how those two singers are different. The Justin's la-da-da-da-da going into that wanted to tighten up. He wanted to spread a little bit. He wanted to scrunch his face a little bit. And Sean just approaches it from this lighter type of quality. There's neither good nor bad. It's just different singers. It's different styles. That's what makes these duos so cool to hear. And that brings us to the end of the song. This was so cool to reflect on and react to. Honestly, I have not heard in the recent past a lot of singing from either Sean or Justin, so to hear them together was a very, very cool thing. And most of the times when you hear these duets, whether it's classical, contemporary, R&B, whatever, you usually hear two very different vocalists, one that has a lighter quality, one that has a darker quality, and because of that, they anchor each other very well. They kind of build off of each other's, I don't want to say strengths and weaknesses, but they build off of each other's qualities to make a really nice ensemble and team in a sense. So between the two, we heard some amazing registration, amazing compression skills on the vocal folds, some really nice vibrato, but it goes to show that these two are excellent musicians, and they obviously have a great relationship with each other, just as musicians, as singers. So I am excited to hear what you have thought as you've been listening through this, so comment with what your reactions are, and I look forward to continuing the discussion. Also, let me know what songs you want me to react to in the future. I've been really enjoying putting these together. And I will see you very soon for the next video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe, and thank you so much, everybody.